This is what happens when an MMO loses its player base. This is what happens when an MMO is about to shut down, merging all of their servers together in an attempt to consolidate a severely depleted player base that just no longer shows any interest in the game. And to think, players genuinely thought that this was going to be a long-term sustainable MMO with untapped potential. I'm sure there's looks of utter shock and bewilderment on the faces of the remaining players. Not that Kakao probably cares. Now, whenever I do a video on an MMO where I go on to discuss its dwindling population, I get met with quite a bit of criticism. Comments like, this guy doesn't know what he's talking about. Our game isn't dead, or typical YouTuber doesn't even play the game but thinks he can go on and talk about the state of it. And you know what? I might not be able to discuss the state that the economy is in. I might not be capable of discerning whether or not the player base is toxic or friendly at present. But when a publisher like Kakao make their live concurrent player statistics public, you best bet I can discuss the state the population is in. And you know what dictates whether an MMO is dead or not? The current number of players that are logging in regularly to play it. Looking at population statistics, you'll notice the 24-hour peak sitting at a mere 1,600. This game isn't even 3 months old yet, and it's completely free to play. That means that every single person can go onto Steam and download it, no strings attached. This right here though, this is a substantial decline in terms of population, given that the game launched to 15,000 concurrent players initially. Let's take a look at Elyon's direct competition. Disregarding New World, we have PSO2 New Genesis, Swords of Legends Online, and Bless Unleashed, all of which launched within a few months of it. PSO2 New Genesis is split between multiple different platforms, but Steam alone records 4,000 concurrent players just today, with a peak of 60,000 players when it released. That's a sizable reduction in active players as well, but there are significantly more players playing if you combine the Microsoft Store with the Steam and the Epic Games stores. Swords of Legends Online launched 6 months ago as a buy-to-play MMO, the only premium title included here, to 19,000 concurrent players and is still managing a 700 player peak. That is actually pretty atrocious, but given that it's already been half a year, I guess it kinda stands to reason. It really didn't have any kind of long-term longevity. Now I would expect Elyon to see an even steeper decline by that point, and Bless Unleashed, which happened to have launched 5 months ago to 76,000 players, is currently peaking at 5,000 active. Not as high as PSO2 New Genesis, and arguably an even larger drop-off, but every game, with the exception of Swords of Legends Online, has outperformed Elyon. And I mean, let's be real here. If you were being outperformed by a Bless title, there was something critically, fundamentally wrong with your game. As noted, Kakao published a blog post on their website discussing the upcoming server merges for their new MMO. All of the European servers are being merged into a single server, as are the North American servers. Kakao noted that these merges are something a lot of players are looking forward to, and honestly, while that may be true due to the sheer lack of players left to participate in any form of content with, the unfortunate reality of the situation is that this is the final nail in the coffin for the game. When a developer or a publisher confirm their game has no players left to warrant more than a single server, they are openly admitting to the fact that they understand that there is absolutely nothing that they can do to save their game, and would rather consolidate every player onto a single server in an attempt to save money and reinforce spending. This is a sad state to see the game in, especially given how large a fan of SN Infinite Realm I was. It was genuinely a fascinating MMO. It took place predominantly within the skies. You were required to make use of your aerial mounts. You flew from archipelago to archipelago, with each landmass having its own selection of monsters and quests. There was a surplus of PvP everywhere. There was fully mounted combat, a gorgeous steampunk setting. Yet Elyon was such a departure from what Air was supposed to be that it ended up turning into something unrecognizable. A basic Beatrice, if you would. The epitome, the very definition of mediocre. At this juncture, there is absolutely nothing that can save Elyon. Elyon transitioned from a buy-to-play MMO to a free-to-play MMO because players showed very little interest in the title, and Kakao and Bluehole came to the realization that if they wanted to see any type of return on their long-term investment, they needed to allow as many players access to the game as possible. But merging all of their servers together just 2 months after launching is proof of how poorly received this game was and how short its lifespan is ultimately going to be. This is the next Bless Online. This is the next Astelia Online. I rarely say an MMO is dead, but if this is not the very proof you need to justify that claim, then I really don't know what is. It's unfortunate to see how this ended. I know a lot of people didn't really see this coming, but to me it doesn't really come off as too large of a surprise. I'm sorry Kakao, I'm sorry Bluehole, I'm sorry Elyon that it didn't work out. Hopefully you guys have better luck with your next title, I guess. And I'll see all you guys soon when they no doubt announce the closure of the game.
Someday soon I'm gonna make it. Yeah, all hard work's gonna be worth it. Ooh, everyone who didn't believe